like a white man. Get it? Or like no insurance, drug use, stuff like that. And the second one, when stuff like here didn't even tow, so he was giving his one. So, but in my eyes, you know, we have I'm only kidding.
You got a lot tonight to say?
Well, good evening, everyone. It is,
None of us do.
oh, you do?
Be quiet, James.
I'll remember that.
At least you told everybody good evening.
Tells you first, say, hey.
Evelyn, could you please give the invocation?
We bow our heads.
How you doing?
Father God, we come tonight to you with your agenda on our hearts for the city of Freeport. Because you have a purpose and a plan for this city. You had a purpose and a plan for this city a long time ago. According to Jeremiah 29:11, you said, "For I know the thoughts that I think of you, towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope." We ask you to be involved in every decision that is presented here tonight. Father, Freeport needs good, sound decisions presented tonight to this council for the good of all the people. Father, the two important issues presented tonight, we ask that you help every council member to vote according to the needs of each ward and for the entire city as a whole. I personally thank you, Father, for each council member who has taken time out of their busy schedules to serve the entire city of Freeport. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Evelyn. Now we'll officially call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Alderpersons Clem,
Here.
Monroe,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Stacy, Shadle,
Here.
Sanders, and Sellers.
Thank you. And if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Monroe.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, Alderman Monroe, you are
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
here of the meeting.
Item number 4 is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
I have a first from Alderman Clem and a second from Alderman Shadle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting held on November 13th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Alderman Shadle and Alderman Clem. All of those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6 are public comments, agenda items limited to 3 minutes per person.
I don't think there were any.
Are there any back there, sir? There are no public comments, so we'll carry on to item number 7. Continued discussion regarding ordinance creating citywide art commission, presented by Director Huffines. You have the floor, ma'am.
All right, so first of all, thank you for your time this evening. At the Committee of the Whole meeting earlier this year, the council and the mayor were presented with information about creating an arts and culture commission for the city of Freeport. At this meeting, we were instructed to move forward with the planning and development of the new commission. To create the sample wording for an ordinance, I researched what other communities have in their ordinances and activities their commissions do. I used language similar to our ordinances. I talked to community members and key stakeholders and met with the mayor and alderperson Sellers. This presentation will review example wording that can be included in the final ordinance to create the commission for the city of Freeport. The mission of the Art and Culture Commission can be to increase the public's awareness of all visual and fine arts, as well as increasing cultural awareness and elevate the diversity in our community. An example of what the composition of the commission can be would be a 5 to 9 member board that are all appointed by the mayor with the approval of the city council. It will follow all OMA rules, meet at least 6 times a year, but it also have no financial backing from the city unless authorized by the city council. Moving on to what the commission will do, the purpose and scope explains the overarching goals of the commission, and these goals are increase citizen access to the arts by providing leadership, advocacy, and support for art that enriches the cultural vitality of our community. Provide advice and work cooperatively with the city council to promote fine and cultural arts in the city. Foster and promote an appreciation of fine arts within the city by enlisting and encouraging public and private agencies, as well as the general public, to support art and cultural events within the city. Assist in creating and maintaining a citywide arts and culture webpage on the city's website that includes links to art-related organizations and individuals who advance art in the city. But how will the commission do these things? So now that you know what we can do, let's continue with how the commission will reach these goals. First, they'll adopt their own procedural regulations. They can prepare and present a public arts and culture work plan to the city council, find applicable grant funding and present any matchable grant opportunities to the mayor and the city council, investigate and recommend to city council the creation of public art policies, to research, procure, and select art for public display. The selection must be approved by majority vote of the commission. Collaborate with key institutions and organizations to promote the awareness of art and increase cultural awareness. Research and make recommendations of how to celebrate and highlight the diverse cultures within our community. And finally, here are some examples of what our commission can do. Commission public art, which is one of the main things that we want to start this for. And it can be all kinds of public art, including sculptures, murals, photography, outdoor art exhibits, etc. But collaborate with key institutions to curate public art and cultural events with the Art Museum, the Art Guild, the Park District, and schools, etc. For example, school projects can easily become public art displays. We can start and adopt a spot program. So after completing a survey of art locations that can be throughout the entire city, not just downtown, people can adopt a place to support all of the art in that area. But then when it comes to our cultural festivals, work with, support and volunteer with current festivals that are already happening. A National Day of Racial Healing is coming up in January, and then creating recognition goals for Hispanic Heritage Month. But we also can't forget that we do have a small business downtown that works directly with the Native American community in town. So those are all things that we can do. So in conclusion, we recommend moving forward with creating the final Arts and Culture Commission ordinance and taking it to a meeting in the near future.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from council or staff?
I just have a comment.
Alderperson Sellers.
Yes, we just, this is just a example of some of the groups and things, the festival cultures that we're gonna be doing, right? Once you get together, we'll look at other different cultures and.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Another question. When do you think about getting something like this started, or when would you like to see this move forward?
So once you guys actually, once we have the ordinance ready, and the mayor can help me answer this too, we would have to have the people that are ready to sit on the commission once the ordinance passes. Is that correct? So it all happens at the same time. So we would be asking the people to do it, and then we would probably just set up one meeting to start with and go over like what everybody's schedules would be, what would be the best day to meet, and then go from there.
Okay, another question?
Carry on.
Just wanting to know, with this, how are is it 5 to 9 members, the commission, I guess this is for the mayor, how will they be selected to be a part of this? You know, how are you?
You're asking my
Yes,
opinion?
yes.
Well, I've had a few names that have come forward. Ashley and I both sat on the commission. I forgot what it was called when we chose the art displays that are in the plaza. So I would imagine probably coordinating some of those people into it. Maybe somebody that's art-minded at the school district, maybe someone that's just maybe a diverse.
Okay, one more question. With that, will it be people that are of different cultures or?
That would be the optimal goal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, just-
So we'll see who comes forward.
Okay.
It's like all the other boards and commissions. It's hard to tell what names will come forward in it, but yeah, the goal is to have a diverse amount of people in anywhere from 5 to 9 people.
Okay.
Awesome. I have one comment. So under powers and duties, it basically states, find applicable grant funding and present any matchable grant opportunities to the mayor and the city council. I would like to see that maybe change the wording a little bit. You know, I think matchable is great. We've gotten ourselves into trouble in the past not really knowing what people are doing when it's just matchable, but find grant funding, you know, see how other parts of the city can assist with winning awards, and I wouldn't really worry about the words matchable. I would strike that, and I would just say I would find any grant funding, you
Yep.
know, because we don't want to limit the scope of this. We want to kind of open it up because I think there's a lot of, for the arts and you know, history and others that, you know, really could benefit the city quite a bit.
Yes. And it would be any grants. It's just wording in there so that if they find a matchable grant, to bring it if they find one. And you can always say, we don't have the funding for that.
I got one more. Oh, did you have one? No. Oh, no, I wanted to, I know reading this, you had said, you know, art. Is it the arts or is it just artwork?
Arts.
We looking into?
Arts and culture. It's any type of fine or visual art.
Okay.
So, which is basically anything. But the key things that we would be wanting to start with would be like the sculptures and the murals. And then you can move forward from there.
I know that, you know, like in dance or in plays or in music, you know, those are arts too. So that's why I was
Yep.
wondering.
And then
are
you can engage with like the Winishek Theater to see
Okay.
if there's other kinds of things to do with that.
Okay, thank you.
Alderperson Sanders.
Yeah, also, we're not just talking about artwork like visual pictures or paintings, are we?
We're talking about all kinds.
Yeah,
So,
well, what I'm talking about is art is very broad,
correct,
and it has no borders,
correct.
okay? And are we going to categorize other art functions, you know, collaborate with other
The intention is to collaborate when we can.
when we can?
Yep.
Now, we're going to bring in all forms of art.
Well, we don't want to necessarily replicate exactly what the art museum is doing, but we would want to support what the art museum is doing.
So this is relevant to the art museum.
And other places,
and other institutions?
not just the art museum.
Okay. How about community art?
Yes, that's the goal. That's the main purpose of this is community art and engaging all kinds of different organizations throughout the committee.
Right.
Community, not committee.
So, when I think of art, I think of art could be any kind of abstract, any kind of music form of art,
Yes.
any kind of theater, orchestra
Yep.
type of arts.
Yes.
Can we incorporate anything like that? Are we thinking that far out?
Yes.
You have to excuse my voice.
No, it's okay. Any kind of art, yes. For this, we know that we have sculpture areas that are downtown that we need to work on.
Right.
And for us to even do that, we really want to make sure the commission is standing before we start procuring art for those. But in the future, part of working with other organizations would include, you know, the concerts and the plays and musicals and stuff that people are putting on.
Yes.
Alderman
one more
Sanders,
question.
one of the main focuses to start is, you know, we have the art corridor with Chicago. I believe there are 12 of those squares along there. And so someone needs to make the decisions of what's going to be placed on there. So it would be an ideal situation for this commission to be able to discuss what that looks like, if they want a theme, you know, is it something permanent? Is it permanent? Is it ever changing? You know, those are all just little details. And same as murals. When someone comes to the city and says, you know, I want to paint this on the side of my building, and well, what are the guidelines? So that's kind of just some immediate things that this commission can start with. But the scope could be very broad. It's just where do we start? And it's really about the funding and what those spaces, those 12 spaces will look like eventually.
Okay. Question? The planning of an art-like forum that displays individual arts as well as a collective arts of an institution, agency, or anyone that wants to do art, have not signed up for art, still have the potential to participate.
Yes.
Yes, okay. And if so, we have to display, well, we have to exhibit amount of marketing, promotion, that costs money. Those things cost, and I know we was talking about grants and what procurements and things like that. Are we ready for this next year? Is this going to be something that we go forward on next year?
So what we would have to do is when you are ready, if this is something that you like the wording and the things that I've put together, then we would take this to a council meeting, and the ordinance, the official ordinance would be written, and you would have to take 2 council meetings for that to pass. Then we would officially have the commission. And then one of the first things for the commission to do would be to work on that plan. To come up with all of the details, and then that plan would come to you as a city council.
Okay, okay.
Alderperson Stacy.
Okay, so did I understand the mayor to say that those empty blocks that were placed in different areas downtown, so are we like trying to create a sculpture or artwork to go there?
Yes and no. So we can commission artists to do it for us. We also, in my conversations with the people, someone had a really good idea of working with different organizations like Highland Community College and the school district, some of the classes, and having them work on works of art to put on those. So we're actually, so that could be potentially like adopting one of those pads, and every year they would have something new there. That's an idea, but these are all things that we don't know 100% until the commission is sitting down and talking about it and figuring out where they're going to go. If you're going to commission art to be on all of those pads, that's a lot of money. And our goal is that the city is not spending money. So we would have to do grant research, apply for grants, so we could still be 2 or 3 years out from commissioning professional artworks for those pads.
And there's 12 pads?
Roughly, yes.
Help me if I'm confused, but didn't we already have this conversation about an art commission? And we voted on that already? What was
We
that?
actually talked a little bit about it at our strategic planning.
No, we had a meeting.
It was in June or July. Former manager Bucus discussed it with you and asked if this is something that you would want. And we presented it before we actually worked on any of this background on what the actual ordinance would look like.
But it was no vote. We
No,
didn't- I
no.
thought we already-
Just direction on actually, yes, this is something we would like to see. Please work on it and give us the official presentation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And, you know, another thing is too, is not only are there grants available, but a lot of times businesses and other community supportive agencies will be willing to put money forward to support some of these events as well. So if you had a statue, maybe it was supported by, you know, whoever.
Yes.
So that wouldn't cost the city any money at that point.
Might need that back.
I'm glad you brought that up. I have another question.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead, Ms. Simmons.
So how much involvement will the art museum have in this? Because this seems like their avenue. Why would we not just throw our support behind them and let them handle this?
I didn't hear the entire thing that you just asked. I know that you talked about the art museum.
I said, how much involvement will the art museum have? And because it just feels like something that we would put our support behind the art museum and let them handle, because they have been the ones to display artworks of different artists from town,
Yeah.
and like you said, school, things like that. So why would we have our
So-
own commission versus just supporting the?
A lot of cities have their own commission that goes for the entire city, so that we will do things throughout. Whereas the art museum, a lot of the stuff that they're putting on and doing is on their own property. So a lot of the art things that you're talking about of displaying art is at the Art Plaza and in one of their 2 buildings, because they currently own the one downtown that they're renovating, and then they have the one that's out on Harlem.
Right.
They go to other organizations and have like art camps and stuff like that. We're not going to be doing art camps. Do you have anything else you want to say, Mayor?
Well, I don't think you want to give those decision-making spots to a different entity. You want that to fall upon the committees that we choose through the council. That's where your oversight comes from.
I don't know, in my opinion, if we have an art museum that is very active in the town and we're looking for people to put art downtown, I would feel like that would be their avenue. That's my feeling behind it. That's why I'm asking how much involvement will they have?
I'd like to add something. I think they could be very involved, but it leaves the power with us to dictate, okay, if we're gonna spend funds, we've got the control over what's actually going there. And they really don't control things outside of their own property. They only control things on their property. So when we're placing things around the city, that's more of our role as the representatives of all the wards of the city, the mayor, the city manager, and all the departments. So I think it's important that we maintain that control. Otherwise, we lose some of the ability to, control what's going where.
But I do anticipate some of the art board to want to be a part of this commission.
Alderperson Sellers.
I just want to say with being on the art board, I do know that we had talked about doing a commission at one time. It was probably like in September or something. But I think because of doing the renovation to the new building downtown and other things, that it was, I don't know if it was too much or what Jessica wanted to do, but I do know that she had thought about it. So maybe her stepping back, and then it does say that we are going to collaborate with them, so maybe helping, because they do have a lot that they have to do, you know, getting this new building. And if we want to get this started, we probably want to get it going, and then they can step in and help us in any way that we need help. But I do know she did talk about it at one time, but then kind of stepped back.
So, okay, so that was a choice of
The art
museum and
museum,
the board?
yes.
To step back, okay.
Any, Alderperson Stacy?
Yes, I just want to, Alderman Simmons, you are correct. There was conversation about this when we first found out about these 12 bricks, I don't know what to call them, that was placed after the sidewalks and stuff was done. There was conversation about artwork being brought in. I would have to go way back.
Alderman Shadle? Oh, I mean.
Yes.
You're not
Go ahead.
Shadle. No, we did talk about it, because I remember, because I had talked with her about being a part of it, and I remember telling the mayor that I would love to be a part of it. We just kind of just talked about it, but we didn't vote or anything on it. I knew that it was, I don't know how it came up. I think in our strategic planning it came up. And
This was
so,
way before what I'm speaking of.
oh, I
It was way
remember, yeah.
before.
And I went and talked with Ashley about being a part of it, and I said on the council floor that I would love to be a part of that if we do put it together. So that's what I know. I don't know about voting or anything.
And Alderman Stacy, it was at the very beginning, because it was in like June. So you would have sat in May or June. So it would have been one of the first things you talked about.
Okay.
That's what you're remembering.
City Manager, do you have any input?
Just to follow up, Director Huffines is correct. At one of our earliest council meeting after the new council was seated, we had a conversation about moving for a way forward to make sure that the sculpture foundations that were integrated with the Chicago Streetscape project would eventually get populated with art, whether that was going to be a rental program or whether that was going to be some indigenous city program or a board. And at that time, as I recall, we decided to go forward with an art commission as long as it didn't include any funds from the city.
I believe that was what Alderman Sellers had said at that meeting. Am I right, Joy?
Any other comments, questions? What's your pleasure?
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is
Is to move it forward.
to move forward to have an ordinance written.
Well, let me throw this thing in here before we move forward. We have all our financial products in place to move forward.
I don't think there are any financials at this point.
Okay. Okay, so this is something that's going to be discussed further down the road?
Correct.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to,
So move.
what is it?
Motion to move it on to adapt ordinance to get the commission going.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to direct the direct the staff to come up with an ordinance for this new committee. and to move it on to the first available meeting after that's been written.
Yeah, there's no timeline as
Yeah,
far as
okay.
whenever it gets done.
So we have a first and a second. First was Alderman Clem, second Alderman Shadle. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8, continued discussion regarding crime reduction measures presented by Alderperson Stacy and Sellers. Ladies, you have the floor.
Yeah, 'cause this is dark. Thank you. No, first of all, I just want to say that I did talk with Patrick Sellers about this crime reduction plan that he had presented and everything. We both came up with the same conclusion, is that, you know what? You really don't want to be involved, and we really don't. So you can do whatever you need to do in the crime reduction bill, because you don't want to be a part of what he has put together or what we're trying to just show to be helpful in the city. So with me, I don't know about Stacy, and I know with Patrick, we just said, hey, you guys can do whatever you need to do, and you don't have to work with us on whatever, so we won't bring it up anymore. So you can have it. We'll just let it go, because we see that
City
you don't
Manager?
care. So, yeah. So I'm done. And, oh, one more thing. And I really didn't care for how the city is being bullied by, different people on things that if they don't like it or whatever we're trying to create or change in our community for the better, that if they don't like it, they bully. I'm not one to take bullies. I can handle a bully. I can really handle a bully. So that's what's our problem in our city, is that we got too many bullies, too many Goliaths, and not enough Davids. So I'm done, and you guys can do whatever you need to do with the crime or whatever. So that's me and Patrick's point of view. So, Cecilia, I don't know what you might have to say.
I just wanted to update council on a few things. Obviously, so we've had a couple meetings with Patrick and also other staff. We've talked about some things that can be done right away, some things that are more long-term, and some things that require some planning. So last time we discussed clearing the canopy around streetlights to help brighten up neighborhoods that have a lot of overgrowth blocking the light. We will be working on that as soon as we have the opportunity after leaf season is concluded, and it shouldn't be too much longer. Also working.
I'm not hearing you. Clearing what?
Clearing the leaf season. So once staff is done with leaf season, we'll be going out. We'll trim the canopy around street lights in areas where it's a real problem. We've also discussed with ComEd and continuing to work with ComEd in terms of replacing certain owned fixtures with brighter fixtures. So that's something we're going to continue to look at. In addition to that, this year we included some technology solutions in the budget, namely a autonomous drone to help do video and audio evidence. If we get a triangulated shot spotter location, that would help us deploy to a location quickly, and as well as continue to work on our staffing at the police department. So, and Chief, you're welcome to jump in on anything you feel like.
Yeah, I mean, once, before we met with Patrick, I did go through the whole plan myself too. We sat down and talked about some things. One of the things we have to realize is that we're trying to overcome the staffing issue. Just a couple months ago, I thought we were in like the best position that we had been since 2019, and then we ended up having to terminate an officer who was down at the academy, and then had one who was injured and was trying to come back from her injury. She's been injured since January. She resigned and ended up getting employment outside of the police department, outside of law enforcement. So, I mean, things like that hurt. But going through this, we made an emphasis on trying to improve our technological resources, and like the city manager just said, We're vetting a company, it's called Paladin. They make an autonomous drone that can be synced to ShotSpotter. We can, ShotSpotter alert goes up, the drone can be fixed in a fixed location, like on the roof of the police department, and then go to that location and then start recording video. And I think something like that would be very helpful with us, or for us, when you have situations like we had on Pleasant Street this year, where you know, officers were in another side of town, and it took them a little bit longer to get to that spot where you have a drone on top of the police department with a 5-mile radius that flies 35 miles an hour, can get there pretty quick and start taking essential video of vehicles leaving and stuff like that. And we can use that in conjunction with our LPRs and other cameras that we have in different locations. Also, some things that we're working on adding. I mean, we had to, when we had a bunch of people leave the police department, we had to get rid of things. Like when it comes to community engagement, we're in the process of getting our Bigs in Blue program back. It's something that had come up in the R3 grant planning, where we have officers as mentors with young children, you know, through the school district. We're trying to get serious, if we can, about adding an SRO in the school. We've been talking about that since our I know the school wants one, and we want to get one to them, as well as our Explorers unit through the Boy Scouts of America. I've already reached out to them, and I have a officer that works for the state police. He used to work for us, that he would be willing to partner with us to get that going again. We're also in a position right now to add a K-9 officer back again, so that's something that we're working on right now. We have, when it comes to deployable manpower, we unfortunately have 4 out with injuries. We have 1 in the academy, and we have 4 in the field training program. So when you see our numbers, our bottom line, you know, that's not really what we're able to use out there on the street. So I'm hoping by the end of the year we get in a better position, but I mean, I agree we need to do more, and we're trying to do more. We have officers that, like our gang detective, who's you know, that this is his, I swear, his sole purpose in life. He's so dedicated to this issue, and we have other officers that make this an emphasis and a priority in their work as well. So it's not something that we take lightly or that we're not listening to. I'll listen to anybody that wants to talk to me. I said that before. We're trying to do the best we can right now with what we've got.
Yes.
So, Chief, how is that Ring doorbell program going, and what would you need to expand that to the areas where we're seeing an increase in gun violence and, you know, search warrants where you find illegal weapons?
So, Roberta Cap, I mean, we've marketed this. She unfortunately lost her son to gun violence 2 years ago. She made this her mission to raise money to get cameras out there. So when she does bring in cameras, they go pretty quickly. And when it comes to these shootings, you know, they're not just in one location. It's been all over, but we try to get them in areas where we have a higher occurrence of shootings, and then we keep track of who has the cameras, and then so that way, if there is something that happens, that we could see if there's anything, work with them to see if there's any video captured.
Okay, so what we as the council, how can we help to expand that program to more houses in different areas?
Well, we could buy more cameras.
Okay, thank you.
Alderperson Stacy.
When these cameras are available, how do people even know?
We've been just putting them on our Facebook page, and it seems like that word of mouth travels really well that way. But I mean, we can try other methods as well. That's just what we've been using, because once we put them out there, it seems like we get enough. I mean, they're gone within a day or two. So.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I too had a conversation today with Mr. Sellers, and I'm not done. And I'm not going to stop trying to secure my city with what we are so much in need of. It was suggested that he meet with every department head, and you can't meet with people that don't want to meet. The ones that wanted to meet did. And for that, I thank you. But for those that chose not to, don't mean we just stop, give up, lay down, and die. No, no. We keep working. And he has kept working. And he has new strategies that require action. Chief, nothing against what you said about the drone, any of that. But a drone is not going to fix our city. We spoke about putting together a committee. And that was shut down until all department heads had an opportunity. And so now it's time to keep moving. And it will be back because this committee that the gentleman, Mr. McElwain, the committee he spoke of, standing right there, needs to happen. And it will be back. Thank you.
I will say this. It's been challenging sitting here, listening to what some people are saying. I honestly will say this. I think the chief of police is doing an amazing job. I think gun violence is down, and under the auspice of what we've got going on in the state of Illinois, I think we've got much bigger problems that we want to sweep under the carpet. We've got some of the toughest crime bills, crime laws, as far as handguns go, as far as multi-round weapons go in the entire country. And gun violence is out of control. And so people ask, why is it out of control? And they say, oh, well, it's because all of these reasons. But the problem is that this crime reduction bill, along with other bills that have come forward, discriminate against those who follow the law. They don't go after the people that break the law. And that's the problem. And if you want to see history and facts, look at what Mayor Rudy Giuliani, not my favoriteest dude on the planet, but look at what he did in New York City. Every gun violation went to the federal court. Minimum 5 years in prison. There's no parole in federal prison. But the state of Illinois will turn somebody around in 2.5 years and let them out after they killed somebody. We can't fix that. We cannot fix that. We can't fix ghost guns. We can't fix people coming in from other countries with weapons, automatic weapons. They're coming across the border. As much as we want to say it's not, it is. But there is a way to fight this, and we have to talk, and we have to protect those people that are brave enough to stand up and say something. And people are scared, and people are scared for a reason, because if they find out who's talking, they come back after them. You know, I don't need to repeat in here, snitches get what, you know, it's fact. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago part of my life. And I look back on that, and I learned so much in life that you can't fix criminal activity with what we're trying to do here. We can only do what we can with the people that we've got. We've been undermanned for so long, it's not even funny. These officers go from call to call to call to call. No bathroom break, no lunch break, nothing. Why? Because we can't get people hired. And people wonder, why do you speak out so much against the school? Because we've got to turn out quality people to fix this problem. We got to turn out people who are employable, who have dreams and aspirations. It's not about guns. It's about morals. It's about ethics. It's about believing in something bigger than yourself. That's what it's about. And it really is offensive. And people say, why do you have a problem with what Mr. Sellers is trying to do? I have a problem because he wouldn't pick up the phone and answer my call. He wouldn't call me back and ask me, how can we work together? It's, oh, here's my plan. You want to talk about bullies? That's how you get bullied. This is my plan, and if you don't do it, you're racist. There's a problem with that. And I think we really need to stand up and say, you know what, to this small minority of people in this city, and it's less than 5% of the population is causing all of our problems, you look, it's the same people every month getting arrested, back out of jail on the sheriff's department page. Look at it. Just follow it. Download the app. Watch them over and over. It's the same people. Gun violence, distributing drugs, selling drugs, felonious fleeing, all of these things. I mean, my heart goes out to the officers that carry those weapons and step out there every day, because literally, and I've said this before, we are a single mistake from a police officer away from having the next major issue in this city. We have so many young officers coming through here. They have so much pressure on their shoulders that if they make one mistake, you have St. Charles, Missouri, or Minneapolis, Minnesota. The examples go on and on and on.
Don't do that.
I'm going there. If you don't like it, say something different. Prove me wrong.
Give me a minute.
I will. I'll give you a minute.
Can I have the floor? May I have the floor?
But that's the problem with this crime reduction bill, is it doesn't bring all people to the table. Gun crime in this community.
Who do it bring to the table?
It brings everybody. It should bring everybody to the table.
Who do it bring to the table?
It doesn't bring us.
Who's us?
Me. Mr. Parker. Shadle, did you get a phone call on it? No?
We're not department heads. You said meet with the department heads.
Did they try? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it until tonight.
And I feel that you tried to make it seem like I just downed the chief here and his efforts. No, don't do that to me.
I didn't do anything to you.
Well, don't make it seem like I think you've done a good job. I've done nothing but met with him, and I have spoken with him one-on-one, and I praise his efforts. So don't take nothing from that.
I didn't say anything. You can have the floor.
You going in left field with the murders of unarmed black men threw me for a loop. That was not why I wanted the floor. That is not a point to make. I wanted the floor so that we are clear. We are not harping on the police department. We appreciate your efforts. We're trying to figure out how do we invest in the communities that are having these problems to make your job easier. Because once these kids pass middle school, it's very hard to bring them back in the fold.
Facts.
When you ride through our neighborhoods, it is clear that the people have sat on this council do not care about those neighborhoods, or investing, or offering opportunities, or supporting organizations that give these kids other choices than being influenced by the negative factors out there. That is what we want to do. We want to find ways to invest in the communities so that we can get to these kids before they have to go in handcuffs. It doesn't matter how many police officers you hire. If these kids don't see another option, then we're going to have to keep hiring more officers. That's not what we want our officers for. They are here to protect and to serve, not to keep trying to round up scoundrels because we don't want to invest in their neighborhoods. And if you say that we're not inviting you to the table, every time we get comments from the audience, it is pleading and begging to invest in their neighborhoods, even if it's something as simple as tearing down buildings that are falling in on themselves. Those pleas are ignored over and over again. So we are trying to find a different way to bring it back to the council. Even if you are against Patrick Sellers' plan, fine. But we still need to invest in these communities and create opportunities for these young men and women so that we don't have to keep finding new officers to arrest people and search for people. Like we as a community, which we have a very small town, and that is a plus, that is a benefit, that we can go outside and 9 times out of 10, you know the people that you see. Whether you may know them indirectly because you knew their grandparents, you know them. So us trying to invest and create opportunities to prevent this crime should never cause an argument or discord on this floor, like ever. And please, please don't ever use the murder of an unarmed black man again to make your point, because you were nowhere near on target with that. These officers aren't out here for that. And we know that. We know that they want to protect this community the same that we do. So let's stop the infighting and figure out how we can work together and get it done. We're coming up with an art commission. Why can't we come up with a commission to come up with programs, junior officers, bring these kids in at Sandberg level so that they can work with the police officers or fire department and see that there are more options and career opportunities out here for me. Because when we look, we don't see ourselves in those positions. We don't. So we don't see it as an option. When we look at our neighborhoods, it's very clear nobody cares. So we need to make the effort to show these kids there's way more. We do care. We will invest in your neighborhoods. You can talk to our officers. You can shadow our police, our fire department. These are opportunities out here for you. We keep yelling diversity, but it never shows. We don't see diversity in any of our boards. We don't see diversity in our programs. Like, that's what we're asking for. Like, I don't, that's my goal, to find out how we can invest in these neighborhoods and get these kids on track with the officers and fire department so that they see that this is an opportunity that they have as well. So unless you have steps to make that happen, I think we should keep our mouths closed till we have something valuable to say.
Well, here's the thing, and I'll respond to that. In just a second.
Okay.
We, and I'll tell you this, and I'll say for myself, I haven't voted against any project anywhere in this city that fixes the roads, tears down blighted buildings, fixes bridges. Some people have. The people saying that they didn't. And I will tell you, we need to fix this city. We need to clean it up. We need to take care of our own. And that's why I'm so heated. But everybody takes it like, no, you're attacking. No, no, no. I care. I care about everybody. And that's the problem. We have to care about everybody because it affects all of us. It's such a small town, we have to take care of it. Alderman Sanders.
Let me add to, I concur with Sister Simmons and Brother Monroe. I concur with what you guys are saying. We're actually dancing around the nuclear part of this whole conversation. One thing that we have to formulate certain platforms that meet the issues and goals that we're talking about. The issues, the problems is the reason why. But collectively as a body, we can't get together to make an assessment, survey about what it is that needs to take place. We need to be able to collectively get minds together. We can invite the community to this hall, but we need somewhere where they can meet and voice their opinion, because the answer is within the community that we are speaking of. And if we can get some acknowledgement from people from very levels of understanding of crime, like crime agencies and people like that, a speaker, person that is involved in crime objectives, of trying to lower the temperature of crime. But that's what we have not done. We have not done a clear assessment of this board to get an understanding of the whole magnitude, the whole thing, to see if we can formulate and put strategies together and come up with a plan. The people are waiting for us to act on something in terms of this crime initiative. They're waiting for that, or they want to be able to come to the public podium to speak on ways to get the community to come together and talk about these things. That's what we're not doing. At it with a different type of temperature. And if we can just calm and be mellow about the whole assessment of what Brother Sellers is talking about, and Sister Sellers and Sister Stacy and Sister Rachel is talking about, and others. I'm talking about others here in this board, on this board and in this chamber. We should be able to get together, find out where our talking points are in regards to people actually staying in the pocket on the subject. I think when somebody brave in the community steps up, then there's another person want to tear it down because they didn't come up with the concept nor the idea. And so we have to be cognizant, I can't get the word out. But the point that I'm making is that the groundwork had already been started. We needed to just continue to build on it. We are not trying to build on it because we have a different attitude, each and every one of us, about the primary problem that we're facing. And so we need to reconstruct ourselves and reorientate ourselves about what we're trying to get done. And we have to incorporate, every time we meet this subject, we got to bring the person that brought it to the council. Let them speak their minds. They might have fresh new ideas. Everybody in the city has an idea of how we should go about, or we can vote on different ideas that people bring up. And so the thing is, we're not making an effort. I'm talking about this board. We talk about a thing, but there's no effort generated behind it, no energy put behind it. And so we need the talking points. We need the individual that's inspiring this whole thing to face us each and every time we have this subject, so you can see where it's coming from. And then if you hate the person or don't like the person that's presented it, then we should just minimize our conversation and just be quiet about it, because if you're not adding to the solution, you're not even putting an effort to the solution, that means you're totally against it. But you don't have to be so vivid to be that kind of person that displays that kind of image of what the board is doing, because I'm telling you, man, this is a somber problem that we have as board members, because we're not getting together to enforce or talk about what are the possibilities. Can we change some things? Can we help change the projector of what we're doing or talking about? Can we change that if we're not coming up with a solution? Because right now on this floor, we should have the demeanor to stand up and be so energetic about whatever our subject is because we're trying to get to a particular goal. And what is our goal? Are we on the same page? Do we think alike? Of course not. But the idea is not to try to tear something down that the majority is agreeing upon, you know. So I just wanted to point that out, is that we need more strategic conversations trying to get to the bottom of our dilemmas that we carry with us on a daily basis. Let us have a different mindset. We have to change the mindset, the atmosphere in the room in order for us to meet and come together cordially and have a good time talking about how to solve a problem. Everybody that talks on the subject, it doesn't mean that it's a bad subject. You know, you can take from anybody in this room. You know, we can take from that. So I just want to make sure that we take the time out to assess the whole concept of what Patrick Sellers had presented to us, and that goes for everybody that has a say-so in the matter and can share ideas, because we all don't have the answer, but one way we can derive at that point, you know, we can arrive at that point of the concept that he's presented. We have not challenged ourselves. If we don't challenge ourselves, we're against anything that comes out to talk about. We have to check ourselves.
Well, I think what I'll add to that is, and I agree with you, and I think what we all did in an 8-0 vote, if I remember correctly, is we all voted and directed city manager, chief of police to meet, and the other department heads, as far as I'm concerned, from the crime reduction bill. How important are they? I mean, the two people we need talking, or three, the deputy chief, the chief, and the city manager, full support of the council. We're all for the same goal. The end goal is to decrease crime and to improve people's lives in the city of Freeport.
Yeah, that should be the mindset.
It's easy.
Yeah, that should be the mindset.
Yeah.
You know.
But to say we've done nothing is not true, because I mean, they've come up with some ideas. Are we coming up with enough? Maybe not, and that's what we need to talk about. But
well, there's no energy in these efforts, because we sit here every month, and there's no conclusion. There's nobody talking on the subject. That's how you know that we're not doing nothing. We do nothing if we're not talking to each other to get things done. So in other words, the 8-0 vote shouldn't have never happened. No, I was not. I was.
If it's 8-0, you are part of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. I can't argue.
I'm going to let the city manager have a say, and then I think we can probably move on, if that's okay with everybody.
I am happy to report we have a much more diverse field crew working for the utility. I think it's a 300% improvement. In addition, I know the police department's been being very successful in terms of getting better diversity numbers on the police force. We had a successful program earlier this year with the Boys and Girls Club and with Tink Weathers for a VOTEC. We have made measurable progress. It's not enough, and it never will be. However, we are working on it every day, and some of these conversations, we should probably have these conversations in advance of council meetings. I'd be happy to do that. So just wanted to let you know.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, first of all, when Patrick put the plan together, it wasn't that he needed his name on it. He was, like you said, trying to do something to help our community, because some of these people that were getting lives that were taken at an early age was people that he knew, people that he grew up with. They were part of his family. That's why he did the research and wrote up the plan. But it wasn't that he wanted his name to be the headline. He was just saying it came from him, but tweak it, whatever way you need to tweak it to make our community better. That was his main focus, and he said that over and over again. Tweak it to make it Freeport's plan. So first of all, that's one thing. Then the other thing is, we know we talked about how to make our community better, and I've been talking on these committees for a long time. How are we gonna stop crime? And you know what? All these, probably about 30 years, really, to be exact. And in those 30 years, crime has just gotten worse. It has not gotten better. So that's what I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of talking and we'll do something for a little bit and then it falls between the gaps. So that's what made me say, you know what? Until you need me, do whatever you gotta do. So that's what me and Patrick had talked about. But then when we were also, like I said, bullied to if this plan goes through, that they're gonna raise the rents of different properties. I mean, is that a bully move or what? You know, to make us feel that don't do this because people's rent, so people could call us and tell us that this was going to happen to them if we go on with this plan. And if that's the thing, you know what? I just can't understand this community. I just don't. I really don't. That you would put people's lives at a stressful point because you don't want to do what needs to be done to make our community look better.
Yeah, well, the thing, and okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, it's amazing how this problem's been going on since like you said, for over 30 years or more. Yeah, it was going on before even some people here was born, and I put it like that. But the thing about it is, we need a think tank or of heads, minds, the minds of people that have solutions or can work out problems and solve problems, because maybe this council or this board or this chamber are not adequate enough to go into the field of criminality and to adjust to solve that issue. I don't think we have that kind of individuals that can really get into the criminal side of it and try to render a solution. We just don't have individuals that are playing those roles or going into the education of college criminal studies. And what we don't have is someone in those studies, unless we consult with the police chief and the police department, who knows what the studies are that we don't attain. We don't have that education. We don't have that know how to get in there and solve these problems. But the police department has an idea of how criminality works in the field of criminals. We as just individual citizens can't make that assessment about how crime works and how to prevent crime. The citizens don't do it because we're depending on the police department to help solve a lot of these issues and to solve the problem of crime. That's who we depend on. And but civilians, we make opinions or suggestions or their own of their own mindset. We're just lost citizens who trying to find out why we're having so much crime in the neighborhood, and when we're talking about how much crime is in the neighborhood, there's not 10 people in the neighborhood can fix or try to have the conversation of getting rid of crime. We have to rely on the police department, the FBI, the ATF, and everybody, all other agencies that we don't, as council people, we are not involved in. And so we can't come and say, well, we need to put a committee in here, a commission, and try to remedy these issues. We have to start where the people has the most intelligent solutions for what we're trying to fight for. They have an uphill battle, not only with trying to solve the problem, but also discriminate. I can't get the words out. The discriminate. Well, anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. And so, if you go and be civilized people and ask civilized questions, and talk to the people that have the knowledge and the know-how, we're just running around this room bumping into each other. The next time without a resolution. And that's not how this is supposed to be done. We let the people that we choose to be in these positions that know what they're doing. This is something they do on a daily basis. We cannot stand here and tell police officers how to run their job, how to do their job. We cannot do that. But what we can do is take the initiative that someone was bold enough to stand up and talk about it, and bring it to our full attention about what we do. We're sitting here trying to strategize a plan. Why are we strategizing a plan when the studies is right down the table here? And why are we, as councilmen and regular people, citizens, trying to solve this problem or a problem when the people that are sitting right up the road up here? You have to excuse me, man. I can get animated sometimes.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We're going to move on to
that's
item.
we're
going to move on to item number 9.
Hold on. Let me adjourn myself. Okay. I don't like people just jumping in trying to cut me off. I respect everyone. So, but my point is, we just have to look at ourselves in the mirror sometimes in the day and say, am I going about this the right way? That's what we have to ask ourselves. And come back to the table and say, well, Chief Police Officer, can you handle this for us? Yeah. And let him give us some insight and some input, on how we can go about it, because we're not listening to them. We're sitting here as if though we got the answers. We don't have the answers. Is the reason why we're sitting here talking about it right now today. So I yield to the cause.
We'll move on to item number 9, discussion regarding resolution authorizing the write-off of water and sewer balances age 7 years and older, presented by Director Richter.
Thank you, Alderman Monroe. The reason the Finance Committee wanted to bring this to the Committee of the Whole was just we have not done this year yet. In 2023, we have not done it. We like to do it once a year, and usually it is towards the end of the calendar year that we request the write-off of balances that are over 7 years. The write-off of utility balances is necessary when a resident's balance is considered to be uncollectible. If the balances are not written off, the city will carry an accounts receivable balance that overstates the amount of outstanding customer balances. By writing off these accounts yearly, we more accurately reflect our financial position. Despite our efforts to try to collect these outstanding balances, we propose to write off all balances prior to July 1st of 2016 at this time. This would leave 7 years of balances on the books. The proposed total to be written off is $53,936.35. Please also know that we are able to track these prior balances that have been written off in the computer system. So if future utility service is requested by any of the individuals that we are writing off at this time, we will collect prior to the new service starting. So if someone went out of town, left town, came back into town, and they didn't pay their final bill, we're going to collect it before we'll put water service in their name. As I said, the staff would like to present this at the next council meeting on December 18th. And we request the amount of $53,936.35 to be written off. This would include balances from water bill, the water portion of the bill, the sewer portion, the storm sewer, and the garbage portion. And it's all detailed and broken out on my memo. I also would like to point out that this represents less than 1% of the revenue for that year. So if you take into account that we billed over $8 million back in 2016, that's less than 1% that we're writing off. And if you have any questions.
Alderman Clem.
Madam Director, could you please, since I just happened to sit here and run down them and go through them, and there's people on here that are floating around in the street, and I say to myself, why are we writing these off when I see this guy every day?
Collecting money is hard.
Just explain what we go through to try and collect it.
So to try and collect, we go through and match up. So as I said, no one can get new service if they have an old balance on the account. We collect that way. But we also submit all of our outstanding bills once a bill becomes inactive. So these are inactive accounts. We send them to our collection agency, Municipal Collection Services. They try and collect. We forward to them the address, the name, how much they owe. We also submit them to the Illinois Comptroller's Office to be collected through income taxes. So if the state's Comptroller's Office can match up the name, the address, they have a special way, which they don't divulge, of how they match up, this John Smith and another one. And they will, if they are getting, for example, a tax refund, they will take it out of their tax refund. If they're getting paid by the state, there might be an employee of the state, it will also come out that way as well.
Follow up?
Yes, sir.
On that, we'll just say Joe Schmo here, who's running around in the street that owes us $204 and some cents, okay? If he's got somebody in his family that can go take that water bill out, then that gets him water hooked up, correct?
Unfortunately, yes, and I think that's what the word on the street.
Okay.
If I might be able to elaborate.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just one other thing. When people sign up for service, and if they're renting, we ask for a copy of the lease. And the lease usually says on there who's all in there or the responsible parties. So we're trying to make sure that we check those as well.
Do we have a system that that acts on behalf of the citizens or the customer in consideration of why they're in the predicament that they're in most of the time, why they can't reach the goal of paying their water bill balances and all the other utilities and extras and stuff like that, all to the city in order to try to maintain and economic status here in the city of Freeport. Do we have something in place that works with the citizens of Freeport so their water does not get shut off, or they become delinquent, or some kind of promotion that we can offer the citizens when they get down and behind on their bills and things like that when it comes to the utilities? Do we have something in place that we can reach out to people and try to adjust things for them so they can be accommodated, not freely, but the fact that we have a knowledge base that understands their circumstances? Most people in the city of Freeport just can't maintain the water that they're getting, and the bill that is being, the balance of that bill, and then the fact that they want to move from one place to another, and can't get accepted and can't get their waters and things like that turned on. Do we have a social mechanism within the system that works with the people, instead of us trying to put them in certain consequences for not being able to pay their bill? Is there something in place? Have we looked at those options? Have we considered those options? Maybe we're not broaden ourselves enough to know that we have a lot of citizens in the city of Freeport that just can't make it paying that kind of money each month, trying to stay alive. We're not working with the citizens. It seems like we're working against the
I
citizens.
think the city manager's got some input on that.
Oh, okay.
Alderman Sanders, just to comment on that, we do have a number of charitable organizations in town that if people are qualified and seek assistance, there's a number of charitable organizations, in one of which I believe the township also offers relief for anyone who is behind on their water bill, threatening to get turned off, and seeks help. So in this particular case, these are 7 years old, so they've been on the books a long time, and we are doing our best to make sure that as we go forward, we're doing our best to collect on all kinds of bad debt. However, some of them either leave the area or are unable to, we're unable to locate them, and so once in a while we have to go ahead and write off the old accounts, in this case 7-year-old accounts, which is not unusual. Moreover than not, water utilities are acceptable. Bad debt is up to 3% is considered acceptable, and this is not even close. This is much less than 1%.
Alderwoman Sellers.
I'd just like to know, why did we hold on to it for 7 years, and what does it cost us yearly holding on to that debt like that?
It doesn't really cost us anything. It helps us in the billing department to be, it is easier to track for us downstairs in the software system. I mentioned before that even if someone comes after 7 years, that we can, say, hey, you left $100 here or something. That takes another step, leaving it on 7 years. And 7 years is pretty typical, for collections. You have to kind of draw a line in the sand. How long do you hold on to it? And this is really also for accounting reasons. You don't want to overstate your collectibles. And so this is why we're trying to do this.
No, you had stated that you send it to the collections, so I was wondering how much do we have to pay them to take on that?
For the state of Illinois, that's free.
Oh, okay.
The state of Illinois is free. The Municipal Collection Services does charge us a fee. They charge us it's like 10% on the state stuff, because they help us get it into a readable computer format to be uploaded to the state. So they get like 10% off that, and then they get 30% on things they actually collect themselves.
Well, one of the things that Manager Boyer said about other agencies tapping in to help resolve some of that issue, that people can go to get the money from these agencies and then turn right back around and pay it back on the billing. Am I correct on that's how that's working? Okay, and that's the way we want to project ourselves, helping people in the city or whatever, and still not be able to maintain an economical level for support and help. And because it'll be like, if there's no agency to support the people, then they have to run from agency to agency for every valuable thing that they need. And that's not a good support apparatus that is being suggested. We should be talking about, if a person have to go to an agency to resolve their issues on their finance and buildings and things like that, I think everything should be a forgiven type of thing that we can offer people if they're struggling that bad that they have to go out and get outside agencies. I don't think we should be sticking our hands in there trying to cipher off anything that an agency give to other people. I had a problem with that, because we're not helping them. We're taking the very resource away from them while they're still struggling in their atmosphere trying to maintain. It doesn't look right for us to be trying to take the funding from them.
Attorney Zito's got a comment.
And Alderman Sanders, I appreciate your comments here on this topic about trying to help people, that are maybe in a position where they can't afford there. But again, I got to keep us on topic here. The ordinance that's before you, or the resolutions before you, is about writing off bad debt. So it's really an accounting issue that we're here to address tonight. Not to say that your topic is not important, but it's a topic for a different day.
Yeah.
To get posted on an agenda for discussion, etc. So,
Alderperson.
Well, I just wished somebody had a little sentiment in their heart to take a stand and talk about helping the citizens, even if you are trying to collect the debt or minimize the debt or.
But this is about a specific topic. We can put that on
the
agenda.
I mean, we seem to be insensitive. I don't want us to look like we're insensitive to people's needs, and that's what it'll boil down. I like to see the energy, the synergy. I like to see breaking out the cameras and the vocal audio and everything, but that's not what we do. I don't see no excitement in here for the people cause, and so we need to change our own demeanor and our own challenges and start looking like we for the people. That's all I'm saying.
and
Alderman Stacy.
Sanders.
Yes. How many people on these 6 pages are even still alive?
I couldn't tell you.
Because I saw like at least 4 names that I know are deceased.
Okay. I think you're yes, I believe they are. And that is something that we're working on downstairs to get a method to, check maybe obituaries and do that kind of thing. But then our problem is we always have to make sure it's exactly the same person, that kind of thing.
What makes one uncollectible?
In this in this part, we've tried iDrop, or the debt recovery with the state. We've tried to collect, and in this instance, it's over the 7 years.
Do you ever sue?
Oh, not since I've been here. However, it's been discussed. We lien properties.
I would just like some help. Went on the back page to look at some of these higher numbers. Samuel K. Courtson, a landlord. Do he still have property here?
I don't
Yeah.
know each of them.
Yeah.
We probably shouldn't read their names out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Go on to number 10.
I looked up 95% of the businesses on this list. They're in Texas. They're in California. California.
Okay. They're not here.
One landlord is on here 5 times. They're in Chicago. How are we involved with these people and they're in a whole totally different state?
They're landlords. They buy property here.
Any other questions, comments, or are you still?
Just a general person.
Go to number 10.
I don't see what the problem is because I cannot ask the question I'm wanting to ask if I can't say the name. They're who they are. Who cares? They're about to get some $1,000 worth of water and sewer dropped off. Who cares if they are exposed?
Well, I think we can talk about, is the question ultimately, there are people that are on this list that are maybe still around town.
Yes.
Why is it getting written off?
Yes.
I think that's your question, right? So, and I think ultimately it comes down to that collectability issue, right? Some people sometimes are what they call judgment proof. I'm not saying that that's the situation here, but the city has a process that it goes through to try to collect from these people. Obviously, it's in the city's best interest to try to get every dime they can get from somebody, right? So they go through a collection agency, okay? They go through the state program, iDrop, to try to collect, whether it's if they have a tax refund coming, whatever it is, to try to go through these methods. Now, if all of those methods turn up with a 0, they get no money from these people because, let's say sometimes these people are just really good at ducking, or they're really good at hiding their money, or they're really good at not having a quote-unquote job that they pay taxes on or whatever it is. So you can't collect the money through those liens. Then ultimately, the city might have to make a decision as to, do we want to sue if we know that person is around? Take them to small claims court, take them to whatever it is to try to collect. But then at that point, the city's got to make a judgment call. Are you going to spend more money going through the court process than the $300, $500, or $1,000 that you were going to try to collect?
How do you let someone get $1,986.87? You won't even let me get past 100.
So,
And then I'll defer that to staff to answer.
And what I'll say is this, is we had this conversation with the last group of council, and we were all in the same boat, and it was like, we can't let this happen. And I have to commend the city staff. They're shutting the water off sooner. We're not letting it get to that point anymore.
But they are to the residents. I'm talking about these doggone businesses. Right above the 53 total, there's a name. I won't say it, but help me understand that one.
Go ahead.
And they're in here twice.
So we get a lot of situations downstairs in the water billing department. We get people that have massive leaks and abandon their properties, and then they end up with 12 months of base charges on top of that. That's that's how the balances get big. We have our ordinance says even if you own a property and you say, I want the water turned off, we turn the water off. you are still billed base charges for the next 12 months, which is about $85 right now. So that's how it can get up to at least $1,200-ish. And if you just elect not to pay that, that's how it gets so big. The things that, put it into another realm are these, massive water uses or leaks in the house that are not fixed, could be an older home. There's a lot of variables that can go into it, unfortunately.
I don't want to get off the topic, but I do want to mention 7 years includes periods of time that might include COVID. So, we had a lot of overage bills and things like that. Now, this is 7 years old. However, there was a special circumstance where no one could be turned off for a period of time due to that special occurrence. So,
That was by state mandate, right, City Manager? Yes, Attorney Zito.
All right, so I think, as Alderman Moreau said, that, staff has taken steps to try to prevent, future go-forward bills becoming delinquent for such a large dollar amount there. But again, keeping in mind what the purpose of this resolution is, this is talking about writing off debt that the city has tried to collect for the last 7 years, hasn't been able to collect, and this is more really about an accounting issue at this point, to say after 7 years, if we haven't been able to collect from these people, we're probably not going to be able to collect it. So to clean up our accounting books and to make our audit cleaner, that's why every year we try to write off this debt that's been determined to be uncollectible.
Alderman Sanders.
Could there be consequences, or is there consequences for people who can't pay that 7-year collection or any bills at all on their behalf? Is there consequences?
If it's written off, honey, it's done.
Or if it's written off?
They're gonna write it off.
It's hard to collect a debt after 7 years.
Yeah, but even with the collection, written off, or if you write it, if it's been written off, does that have any consequences to it?
No.
Okay. So when my water gets shuts off, I can move to another house
No,
and get it turned off.
No.
Okay.
there is
No.
consequence.
That's a consequence.
Yes, there is.
You don't have no water, so there's still a consequence.
Right, you gotta pay that bill.
And you gotta pay that bill, so it's still a consequence.
Yeah.
And then you might have to pay the delayed or the collection debt and whatever, pay that off. That's whether or not they write it off or not. There's still it's still on the books. That stuff is still on the books.
It won't be on the books after we write it off, though.
After 7 years.
So
It's
in
7 years.
However, the director did say that those stay in where if they choose to come back and want to have another account, it will be flagged and they'll see it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there.
But it's
There's a
Right.
consequence.
Yep, fair enough.
there, but it's not there.
So we have a motion from Alderman Parker, and we have now a second from Alderman Clem. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
And I'm guessing that the motion is to move this resolution
Move,
forward.
correct, move, thank you.
that
Item
does-
number 10 is, what's that?
No, I just had do we have to do a individual vote because it's money, or no?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is
It's
just
to
to,
move it forward.
the,
It's just to
When
move
was
it
there a
forward. It's not
motion
to
made?
approve or anything.
He made it.
Parker made
He was quiet. These two are real quiet over here. I have to pay attention.
kept. So we can.
Item number 10 is public comments, agenda or non-agenda items, limited to 3 minutes per person. Yes, ma'am.
Come on up.
You can stretch your legs out first.
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I've just been listening to all the comments and stuff. I've been coming to city council for, off and on for years, and Pastor Dixie Disworth was, opening up in prayer and stuff, so I'm not new to this. I just wanna say I'm glad to have the 4 younger members here. You make it interesting, to say the least. we were talking about the crime situation in Freeport. Been talking about this for years. I remember back in the 70s and 80s, because I'm old as dirt, when we had people talking about the crime and stuff and trying to get it, Joy knows because she was one of the people.
But I'm not as old as dirt.
Well, I am older than you. Anyway, and I'm sitting back there thinking, it's never going to get resolved unless we get really the body of Christ involved. Because somebody talked about moral issue. That's when churches step in to help, to smooth things out, hopefully, and not to cause more confusion. So I'm going to make it my personal agenda to talk to some of these church people, to come out of the four walls, and to come down here to city council. I have been saying it, to see what's going on, to get involved, okay? Because I am one of those who's tired of the young people dying as well. I think about all that potential that's in the grave. Some of these young people who were killed, yeah, they were doing certain things they shouldn't have been doing, but they were, like a former pastor of mine said, they were businessmen, just going in the wrong direction with what they were doing. So I believe it has to come to a point where we all, the whole entire city gets tired of what's going on in the city. I see the policemen in my neighborhood, thank you, riding, I'm just tired of seeing and hearing some of the things I'm hearing sometimes in this council. I'm disappointed in some of the things that go on here. I'm glad the young people bring up issues and go forward with some things that used to be, I called some of y'all yes men. It was always yes, yes, yes. Nobody ever said, no, I don't like that. I'm glad these young people are doing that. Listen to them. They do have some good things to say. They are bringing up some good things, some good things. Listen at each other and stop having your own agenda. This city is in trouble, and we can't turn it around with the help of Christ Jesus. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I forgot to say, please state your name.
My name is Neely Erickson. I'm the Government Affairs Director for Northwest Illinois Alliance of Realtors here in Freeport. So our comments are regarding the authorization of the write-off of water and sewer balances aged 7 years and older. So outstanding balances are not just tied to an individual user, they are also tied to the property. So realtors are wondering if any liens or restrictions have been tied to these properties in Exhibit A. Also, we ask because of issues regarding connections of services for new tenants and home buyers. The city has not been consistent in its processing for filing liens against properties with outstanding sewer and water bills. Many times at the table, realtors have to contact the city, or our title agencies are contacting the city to find out if there are any outstanding sewer and water bills because of the lack of appropriately filing the lien and filing them with the circuit court. And so that's another process. And so we ask when the city is going to start filing liens, and if so, these balances will not accumulate, and many of these issues could be dealt with at the table during the transition of ownership. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hopefully your voice is coming back. No? Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Bernie Murgala, I'm in serious trouble. And you guys been discussing this for years. And I've been before the board a number of times talking about vacant properties, especially near me. What I have is an environmental issue created by the environment that I've probably lived in for many years. I'm going to be, it's probably stage 4, possibly stage 5. So it may take my life. And we're not doing a damn thing about this community and investing in it. I commend this young lady for bringing that point up. But we need an ordinance on the books that puts the landlords at risk when a loan, a debt is not paid. We need also an ordinance that specifies that when property is being sold, that the title company must come to the city for the final bill, so that that is eliminated. The 7-year limit that she's talked about is probably a legal limit. You probably can't collect anything after 7 years, so we let it go far too long. When I was here, it was over $1 million. So I don't know if that has been collected or not. But we need to move forward. I couldn't finish last time, but we have 1,241 housing units, of which we have, I should say, 12,041. Of that, 1,213 are vacant. What are we doing about those vacant properties, and how are we managing them so they don't affect the health of the neighbors? Of that 12,041, we only have 321 valued at over 200,000, and these are 2021 figures. So we're catering to a very small segment of our society and forgetting about the rest of us. So, bottom line is the average EAV for everybody in town of those 12,000 is $40,000. It was ironic that you guys put out a publication about all the housing that was sold, 200,000, 189,000. I think there were 16 of them in the city. That's small potatoes. I hate to say that, but I'm sorry to pick on you. But this storyline has been offered by current leadership and is transferring higher tax payments to themselves. So the people on the west side, by not investing on the east side, are creating higher taxes for themselves. And they just don't know it. The impact drives businesses with high capital requirements away out of our town.
That's 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Again,
Yes, thank you. Thoughts and prayers with you, Bernie. Thoughts and prayers with you, Bernie.
everybody says that when somebody dies. At lunch, offer my prayer. Take the gun away.
So that brings, go ahead, Tommy. I'll get you.
I want to tell Ashley she does a good job of that live people live there.
Thank you, Tommy.
And Jody Mo, Christmas is coming up.
She forgot.
And James, you do a good job of that city council meeting.
Oh,
Speaking
sure.
good.
Sure I do. Thanks, Tommy.
And Don Parker, with Merry Christmas for you.
Merry Christmas, Tom.
Yes, ma'am.
Ashley Heilman. I wanted to say one thing to Miss Stacy. One of the things that I found in regards to water bills and how they don't get to potentially landlords is that I have had the instance where a landlord from out of state has called in to put in water, and instead of providing the out of state address to them, they don't provide them with their address, they provide them with the house address. So the request I would ask is if you are having a landlord call in for service, to make sure that they're providing you with their address rather than the service address, because I've gotten numerous bills after the fact of previous landlords that have owned properties where the bills are being sent to the home rather than what their address is. So just another instance of things that come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? That brings us to item number 11, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Something.
Opposed?
No, we ain't.
I have
No.
something to say.
We're adjourned.
Tommy, how you doing?
Can't adjourn on me.
We just adjourned you.